Have you ever finished a long day of work, looked at the clock, and realized that although your body had finally clocked out, your mind was still trapped in endless emails, unfinished tasks, and tomorrow's deadlines? Maybe you've promised yourself, I'll rest after this project. Then another project appears. You tell yourself, just one more hour. Suddenly, 1 hour becomes 3. One stressful week becomes 6 exhausting months. And before you even notice it, you're no longer simply tired. You're experiencing burnout. If you've ever felt guilty for resting, overwhelmed by responsibilities, or unsure how to create a healthier balance between work and life, today's podcast might change the way you think about success forever. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Learn English with Ramya, the place where you improve your English naturally through meaningful conversations and real-life topics. If your goal is to speak confident, advanced English while learning valuable life lessons, you're exactly where you need to be. So take a deep breath, relax wherever you are, and let's begin today's conversation. Modern life celebrates being busy. Have you noticed that? Whenever someone asks, "How have you been?" the most common answer is often busy. Some people even wear busyness like a badge of honor. I'm working 12 hours a day. I barely slept. I haven't taken a vacation in 2 years. These statements are often spoken with a strange sense of pride, as though exhaustion has become proof of ambition. But here's an interesting question. Does being busy always mean being productive, or have we confused constant activity with genuine progress? Many professionals wake up before sunrise, rush through breakfast, spend hours answering emails, attend countless meetings, solve unexpected problems, and finally return home completely drained. Yet instead of feeling accomplished, they often feel empty. That's because productivity and burnout can exist at the same time. You're doing more than ever, but feeling less fulfilled than ever before. The word burnout has become increasingly common over the past decade, but what exactly does it mean? Burnout isn't simply feeling tired after a difficult day. It's a state of emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion caused by prolonged stress. Imagine your energy as the battery of your phone. Normally, you use it throughout the day and recharge it at night. But imagine using your phone continuously while forgetting to plug it into the charger. Eventually, the battery doesn't just become low, it begins to wear out. It loses its ability to hold a full charge. Human beings work in much the same way. Without proper rest, emotional support, and healthy boundaries, our internal batteries slowly begin to fail. And the frightening part is that burnout rarely arrives all at once. It happens quietly, almost invisibly. At first, you simply feel a little more tired. Then you become less patient. Small problems start feeling enormous. Simple decisions become surprisingly difficult. Your motivation disappears. Your creativity fades. Even activities you once loved no longer bring joy. Many people don't realize they're burning out because they're still functioning. They're still going to work, still attending meetings, still smiling during conversations, still completing assignments. From the outside, everything appears perfectly normal. Inside, however, they're fighting an invisible battle. Perhaps you've experienced something similar. You wake up exhausted despite sleeping for 8 hours. You open your laptop and immediately feel overwhelming anxiety. Your to-do list seems impossible. Every notification feels urgent. Every email feels important. Even relaxing starts to feel unproductive. Isn't that ironic? We become so busy working that we forget how to rest. Then when we finally have free time, we don't even know how to enjoy it. Instead, we check our phones, respond to another message, think about tomorrow, or feel guilty for doing absolutely nothing. This is one of the greatest challenges of modern life. We've become experts at working, but many of us have forgotten how to recover. Recovery isn't laziness. Recovery is maintenance. Just as athletes schedule recovery days to strengthen their bodies, professionals need moments of recovery to protect their minds. Without recovery, performance eventually declines. There's another misconception worth discussing. Many people believe burnout only affects people who dislike their jobs. That's not true. Some of the most passionate individuals experience burnout. Teachers, doctors, entrepreneurs, content creators, engineers, students, parents, even artists. Why? Because caring deeply often leads people to push themselves beyond healthy limits. When you genuinely love what you do, it's surprisingly easy to ignore your own needs. You convince yourself, I'll rest later. I can handle one more responsibility. It's only temporary, but temporary habits often become permanent lifestyles. Have you ever noticed how difficult it is to stop working once you've started? Technology has made this even more complicated. Years ago, leaving the office usually meant leaving work behind. Today, work follows us everywhere. Our phones buzz during dinner, emails arrive late at night, messages appear during weekends, video meetings replace family breakfasts. Even vacations become opportunities to quickly check in. We may have clocked out physically, but mentally, many of us never leave work at all. The office has quietly moved into our pockets. This constant connection creates an invisible pressure. We begin believing we must always be available, always responsive, always productive, always improving, always achieving. But human beings were never designed to operate like machines. Machines can run continuously until they overheat. Humans are different. We need sleep, we need laughter, we need meaningful conversations, we need silence. We need moments where absolutely nothing is expected from us. One psychologist once described stress using a simple analogy. Imagine carrying a glass of water. At first, it's easy. After 1 minute, no problem. After 1 hour, your arm begins to ache. After several hours, the glass hasn't become heavier, yet your muscles feel exhausted because you've held the weight for too long. Stress works exactly the same way. Sometimes it's not the size of the problem. It's the length of time you've been carrying it. That's why taking a breather isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. Even 5 quiet minutes can interrupt the cycle of constant pressure. A short walk, a deep conversation, reading a few pages of a favorite book, listening to calming music, looking out the window without touching your phone. These moments may appear small, but they remind your brain that life is bigger than your workload. Unfortunately, many people avoid taking breaks because they fear appearing lazy. Have you ever felt guilty while resting? You sit down with a cup of coffee and suddenly your mind whispers, "You should be doing something. You could answer one more email. You should finish another task." That inner voice can become incredibly persuasive. Yet genuine rest often produces better work than constant exhaustion ever could. There's a beautiful expression that says, "You cannot pour from an empty cup." Think about that for a moment. Whether you're leading a company, raising children, studying for exams, creating content, or supporting friends, you need emotional energy to give your best. If your own cup is empty, eventually there will be nothing left to offer others. Choosing rest isn't giving up. It's preparing yourself to continue with strength, clarity, and purpose. Sometimes the bravest decision isn't working harder. Sometimes the bravest decision is simply admitting, "I need a break."
Let's be honest for a moment. How many times have you ignored your own exhaustion because you believed everyone else was doing the same? You scroll through social media and see people celebrating promotions, launching businesses, traveling the world, earning degrees, learning new skills, and somehow still finding time to exercise every single day. It almost seems as if everyone has their life perfectly organized, but appearances can be incredibly misleading. Social media often shows the highlights, not the hidden struggles. Behind that smiling photograph could be someone dealing with sleepless nights. Behind the successful presentation might be someone quietly questioning their self-worth. Behind the confident entrepreneur may be someone fighting overwhelming anxiety every single morning. We compare our behind-the-scenes reality with someone else's carefully edited highlight reel, and that's a comparison no one can ever win. One of the biggest reasons people experience burnout is the constant pressure to prove themselves. Many of us grow up believing that our value depends entirely on our achievements. If I work harder, people will respect me. If I earn more money, I'll finally feel successful. If I keep saying yes to every opportunity, I'll never fall behind. At first, these beliefs seem motivating, but over time, they become exhausting because there will always be another goal, another deadline, another expectation. Success keeps moving further away, like the horizon. No matter how fast you run, you never quite reach it. This is why it's so important to separate your identity from your occupation. You are not your job title. You are not your salary. You are not your performance review. Those things describe what you do. They do not define who you are. Imagine introducing yourself without mentioning your profession. Who are you? Perhaps you're someone who loves reading on rainy afternoons, someone who enjoys cooking for family, someone who laughs too loudly during funny movies, someone who finds peace while watching sunsets. Those simple moments are just as much a part of your identity as your career, maybe even more. When work becomes your entire identity, every mistake feels personal. Every criticism feels like a judgment of your character. Every setback feels like failure. But when your identity is broader than your profession, disappointments become easier to handle. You realize, I made a mistake, instead of, I am a mistake.
Those two sentences sound similar, yet emotionally they are worlds apart. Another powerful habit that protects us from burnout is setting boundaries. Now, boundaries don't mean becoming rude or uncooperative. They simply mean recognizing where your responsibilities end and someone else's begin. Many people struggle with this because they want to be helpful. They don't want to disappoint colleagues. They don't want to appear selfish. So they say yes, again, and again, and again, until one day they're overwhelmed by commitments they never truly wanted. There's an old saying, if you don't prioritize your life, someone else will. Think about that. Every time you automatically say yes to something unnecessary, you're quietly saying no to something important. Maybe you're saying no to dinner with your family, no to your health, no to sleep, no to a peaceful evening, no to yourself. Learning to say no isn't about rejecting people, it's about respecting your own limits. And limits are not weaknesses. They're reminders that you're human. Imagine if your phone never displayed a low battery warning. It would simply shut down without notice. Fortunately, our bodies send warning signals long before complete burnout happens. The challenge is that many of us ignore them. Persistent headaches, difficulty concentrating, feeling emotionally numb, becoming unusually impatient, losing enthusiasm for activities you once loved, constant fatigue. These aren't signs that you're weak. They're signals asking you to slow down. Unfortunately, our culture often rewards people for ignoring those signals. Someone proudly says, "I only slept 4 hours." Everyone applauds their dedication. Someone skips lunch because they're too busy. People admire their commitment. Someone works throughout the weekend. They're praised for their work ethic. But very few people receive compliments for protecting their mental health. That needs to change, because sustainable success is far more valuable than temporary achievement followed by complete exhaustion. Imagine running a marathon. Would you sprint at maximum speed during the very first kilometer? Of course not. You'd conserve your energy. You'd control your breathing. You'd maintain a steady rhythm. Life works in much the same way. This isn't a 100-meter race. It's a marathon. If you spend all your energy trying to impress everyone today, what strength will you have left tomorrow? One habit that many successful people have in common isn't working endlessly. It's knowing when to stop. They understand the importance of clocking out, not just physically, mentally, emotionally. They create a clear distinction between professional life and personal life. When work is over, they allow themselves to truly be present. Present with family, present with friends, present with themselves. Of course, this isn't always easy. Sometimes your mind refuses to switch off. You're eating dinner while thinking about tomorrow's meeting. You're watching a movie but mentally rewriting an email. You're spending time with loved ones, yet part of your attention remains trapped at work. If that sounds familiar, you're certainly not alone. Our brains have become accustomed to constant stimulation. Silence can almost feel uncomfortable. That's why simple rituals can be surprisingly powerful. Closing your laptop, turning off work notifications, changing into comfortable clothes, taking a short evening walk, listening to calming music. These small actions send a message to your brain. The workday is over. You are safe. You have permission to rest. At first, your mind may resist. It might whisper, "You should check just one more email." But notice something. There's always one more email. There will always be another task, another notification, another responsibility. If you wait until everything is finished before allowing yourself to rest, you'll be waiting forever, because work is rarely finished. It simply pauses until tomorrow. And that's perfectly okay. You don't have to complete everything today. You only have to do your best today. There's a significant difference. Perfection demands everything. Excellence asks for your sincere effort. Perfection creates anxiety. Excellence creates growth. Perfection says, if it's not flawless, it's worthless. Excellence says, I'll keep learning. Which mindset sounds healthier? Which one sounds sustainable? Perhaps the greatest gift you can give yourself is permission to be imperfect, permission to rest, permission to make mistakes, permission to breathe. Because a balanced life isn't built by doing everything perfectly. It's built by choosing what truly deserves your time, your energy, and your heart.
Have you ever noticed how quickly we answer one simple question? How are you? Most of us respond automatically. I'm fine. I'm good. Just busy. And then the conversation moves on. But what if we paused for a moment and answered honestly? What if we admitted, I'm exhausted. I've been feeling emotionally drained. I'm trying my best, but lately everything feels overwhelming. Being honest about how we feel doesn't make us weak. In fact, it often becomes the first step towards healing. For a long time, society taught us that strength meant hiding our emotions. We were encouraged to stay strong, keep smiling, and continue working no matter how heavy life became. But real strength isn't pretending that everything is okay. Real strength is recognizing when something needs to change. Think about a tree during a powerful storm. The strongest trees aren't always the ones that stand perfectly still. They're the ones that bend with the wind instead of resisting it. Their flexibility allows them to survive. Human beings are remarkably similar. When we refuse to acknowledge stress, pressure, or emotional pain, we become rigid. Eventually, something breaks. But when we allow ourselves to adapt, rest, and ask for support, we become far more resilient. One of the healthiest things you can do when you're approaching burnout is to slow down long enough to ask yourself a few honest questions. Why am I working so hard? What am I chasing? Am I building a meaningful life, or am I simply staying busy? Those questions can feel uncomfortable. Sometimes the answers surprise us. Many people realize they've been working endlessly to gain approval from others. Others discover they've been afraid of disappointing people. Some recognize that they've confused being productive with being worthy. The truth is, your worth has never depended on your productivity. A newborn baby doesn't have a career. An elderly grandparent may no longer work, yet both deserve love, dignity, and respect. Their value doesn't come from what they produce. It comes from who they are. The same is true for you. This realization can be incredibly freeing. You no longer feel the need to earn your right to rest. You stop believing that relaxation must be deserved. Rest isn't a reward after you've completely exhausted yourself. It's a basic human need, just like eating, just like sleeping, just like breathing. Imagine saying, "I'll only drink water after I finish every task." It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Yet many people treat rest in exactly that way. I'll relax after I finish everything. But life doesn't work like that. There will always be another responsibility waiting around the corner. Another important habit is learning the difference between urgency and importance. Not everything that feels urgent is truly important. A phone notification demands immediate attention. A social media message appears urgent. An email marked high priority creates pressure. But are these things more important than your health, your relationships, your peace of mind? Usually the answer is no. This is why intentional living matters so much. Instead of allowing every notification to control your attention, choose where your energy goes. Attention is one of the most valuable resources you possess. Where your attention goes, your life follows. Spend it wisely. Let's talk about something many people avoid: taking a breather. It sounds so simple. Almost too simple. Yet some people feel guilty even stepping away from their desks for 5 minutes. They worry someone might think they're not working hard enough. Ironically, those 5 minutes could make them far more productive. Our brains weren't designed for endless concentration. Research consistently shows that short breaks improve focus, creativity, and decision-making. When you step away for a moment, your mind quietly reorganizes information in the background. Sometimes the solution you've been searching for appears only after you've stopped forcing it. Have you ever struggled to remember someone's name? The harder you tried, the more impossible it became. Then, hours later, while washing dishes or taking a walk, suddenly the name appeared effortlessly. That's the power of giving your brain space. Not every problem is solved by working harder. Some are solved by resting better. Burnout also affects our relationships. When we're emotionally exhausted, we often become less patient. We interrupt people. We lose our temper more easily. We stop listening carefully. Sometimes we're physically present but emotionally unavailable. Family members notice it, friends notice it, even we notice it, and that can create feelings of guilt. But instead of blaming yourself, become curious. Ask, what is my exhaustion trying to tell me? Maybe it's telling you that you've been carrying too much for too long. Maybe it's reminding you that you've forgotten your own needs while taking care of everyone else's. Or maybe it's simply asking you to slow your pace before life forces you to. One beautiful practice is creating small moments of joy throughout your day. Notice I said small. People often believe happiness only comes from major achievements. A promotion, a new house, a dream vacation. Those moments are wonderful, but they don't happen every day. If happiness depends only on extraordinary events, you'll spend most of your life waiting. Instead, find joy in ordinary moments. The smell of fresh coffee, the sound of rain against the window, a kind message from a friend, a good book, a peaceful sunset, a child's laughter. These tiny experiences quietly refill your emotional energy. Gratitude doesn't eliminate stress, but it changes your perspective.
It reminds you that even during difficult seasons, life still offers beautiful moments worth noticing. That doesn't mean ignoring your struggles. It means refusing to let your struggles become the only thing you see. There is another powerful habit that often gets overlooked: celebrating progress. Many people reach one goal and immediately focus on the next one. They never pause long enough to appreciate how far they've come. Imagine climbing a mountain while refusing to look back. You'd never realize how much you've already accomplished. Take a moment occasionally. Look back. Remember where you started. Recognize your growth. Celebrate your resilience. You deserve that acknowledgement. At the end of the day, success isn't measured only by promotions, salaries, or achievements. It's also measured by your ability to smile genuinely, to sleep peacefully, to enjoy meaningful conversations, and to wake up with enough energy to embrace another day. Because a successful life should feel successful, not just look successful from the outside.
Let's imagine two people. Both wake up at 6 in the morning. Both have demanding jobs. Both are intelligent, hardworking, and ambitious. From the outside, their lives appear almost identical. Yet after a year, one person feels fulfilled, energized, and motivated. The other feels emotionally drained, disconnected, and completely burned out. What made the difference? It wasn't talent, it wasn't luck, and it certainly wasn't intelligence. The difference was how they managed their energy, not just their time. We spend so much of our lives learning how to manage schedules. We buy planners, we download productivity apps, we create to-do lists, we organize calendars. All of those things are useful, but very few people ever learn how to manage their emotional energy. And without energy, even the perfect schedule becomes impossible to follow. Imagine trying to drive a car with an empty fuel tank. It doesn't matter how expensive the car is. It doesn't matter how beautiful the road is. Without fuel, you simply won't get very far. Your mind works the same way. Knowledge is important. Skills are important. Discipline is important. But emotional energy is the fuel that allows all of those qualities to function. Without it, everything begins to feel overwhelming. Even simple tasks start feeling unusually difficult. That's why successful people don't only ask, "How can I get more done?" They also ask, "How can I protect my energy?" Those are two very different questions. The first focuses on output. The second focuses on sustainability, and sustainable success always lasts longer. Sometimes protecting your energy means saying no. Sometimes it means leaving work on time. Sometimes it means turning your phone upside down during dinner. Sometimes it means taking a weekend without checking your inbox. And sometimes it means forgiving yourself for not being able to do everything. That last one is surprisingly difficult. Many of us carry impossible expectations. We want to be exceptional employees, supportive family members, reliable friends, healthy individuals, perfect partners, always productive, always cheerful, always available, always succeeding. That's an exhausting list, isn't it? No human being can maintain that standard forever. Trying to become everything for everyone usually results in becoming exhausted for yourself. One lesson that took me a long time to understand is this: every yes has a hidden cost. When you say yes to another late-night meeting, you may be saying no to your sleep. When you say yes to working every weekend, you might be saying no to memories with your family. When you say yes to constant availability, you may unknowingly say no to your own peace of mind. That doesn't mean saying yes is wrong. It simply means every choice deserves awareness. Awareness changes everything. Instead of living on autopilot, you begin making intentional decisions. You ask yourself, is this truly necessary? Does this align with my priorities? Will this matter a year from now? Those simple questions often reveal surprising answers. Many things that once seemed urgent suddenly lose their importance. Let's talk about perfectionism. Perfectionism often disguises itself as ambition. People admire perfectionists because they appear dedicated, detail-oriented, highly motivated. But beneath the surface, perfectionism often hides fear. Fear of criticism, fear of failure, fear of disappointing others, fear of not being enough. And fear is a very exhausting emotion to carry every day. Here's something worth remembering. Perfection is impossible. Growth is possible. Learning is possible. Improvement is possible. Excellence is possible. But perfection? No. If you spend your entire life chasing perfection,
You'll rarely enjoy your accomplishments because you'll always notice what could have been better. Instead, celebrate progress, celebrate consistency, celebrate courage, celebrate showing up even when things feel difficult. Those victories matter more than most people realize. Another important part of avoiding burnout is building a life outside of work. Notice I didn't say escaping work. Work can absolutely be meaningful. It can provide purpose, stability, and fulfillment. The problem begins when work becomes your only source of identity. Ask yourself, what brings me joy when I'm not working? Maybe it's painting, gardening, playing an instrument, cooking, photography, reading novels, learning a language, going for long walks, volunteering, spending time with people who make you laugh until your stomach hurts. These activities aren't distractions, they're investments in your well-being. Many people believe hobbies are unproductive. I completely disagree. Hobbies remind us that our value isn't measured only by deadlines and achievements. They reconnect us with curiosity, creativity, playfulness, and sometimes those moments of joy become the very reason we have the energy to return to work with a fresh perspective. There's another habit I'd love to encourage. Practice being fully present. When you're working, work with focus. When you're eating, enjoy your meal. When you're talking with someone, really listen. When you're resting, allow yourself to rest without guilt. Multitasking often gives us the illusion of efficiency, but in reality, it divides our attention and increases mental fatigue. Being fully present is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. Life isn't happening tomorrow. It's happening right now. Too often we postpone happiness. I'll relax after this promotion. I'll spend time with my family after this project. I'll enjoy life once everything settles down. But life rarely settles down completely. There will always be another responsibility waiting, another challenge, another goal. If happiness is always postponed, it eventually becomes a habit. Don't wait for a perfect season to enjoy your life. Find beauty in this season, even if it's busy, even if it's uncertain, even if it's challenging, because this chapter of your life deserves your attention too. One day, years from now, you probably won't remember every email you answered. You won't remember every meeting you attended, but you'll remember the conversations that touched your heart, the people who stood beside you, the laughter around the dinner table, the peaceful evenings, the unexpected adventures, the quiet moments when you finally allowed yourself to simply breathe. Those memories become the true wealth of a meaningful life.
As we come to the end of today's conversation, I'd like to leave you with one final thought. Imagine yourself 10 years from now. Not the version of you that has the biggest paycheck. Not the version with the most impressive job title. Not the version who has answered every email or attended every meeting. Instead, imagine the version of you who is genuinely happy. The one who wakes up with peace instead of anxiety. The one who laughs often. The one whose relationships are strong. The one who has meaningful work, but also a meaningful life. Now ask yourself, what kind of choices would that future version of you make today? Maybe they would finally start setting boundaries instead of saying yes to everything. Maybe they would stop checking work messages late at night. Maybe they would stop feeling guilty for taking a breather. Maybe they would understand that clocking out isn't just leaving the office, it's allowing the mind to rest as well. And perhaps they would finally realize that success without peace isn't really success at all. Life has a way of teaching us important lessons. Sometimes those lessons arrive through joyful moments. Sometimes they arrive through difficult seasons. Burnout, as painful as it is, can also become a teacher. It reminds us that we've been asking too much of ourselves for too long. It reminds us that our bodies and minds deserve compassion, not constant criticism. And it gently whispers, something needs to change. The question is, will we listen? Many people spend years waiting for the perfect moment to slow down. They believe they'll rest after the next promotion, after the next project, after the next exam, after the next opportunity. But life keeps moving. New responsibilities replace old ones. New goals replace completed ones. And before they know it, years have passed. One day they look back and realize they were so busy making a living that they forgot to make a life. Please don't let that happen to you. Work hard, dream big, be ambitious. There's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting success. In fact, ambition can be a beautiful quality.
But let your ambition improve your life, not consume it. Never sacrifice your health for achievements that won't matter if you become too exhausted to enjoy them. Remember this simple truth. Your career is an important part of your life. It is not your entire life. Your inbox can wait a few hours. A meeting can be rescheduled. A project can often be adjusted. But your physical and mental well-being are far more difficult to replace once they've been neglected for too long. Take care of them, protect them, value them, because no one else can do that for you. I hope that after listening to today's episode, you'll give yourself permission to slow down when necessary, permission to breathe deeply, permission to enjoy an evening without feeling guilty, permission to spend time with the people you love, permission to laugh, permission to rest, and most importantly, permission to be human. Because being human means we all become tired sometimes. We all need support. We all face moments that feel overwhelming, and we all deserve kindness, especially from ourselves. Before we say goodbye, I'd like to leave you with a quote that I hope stays with you long after this episode ends. Take care of yourself with the same dedication that you give to your goals. Let those words sink in. Success is wonderful, achievement is meaningful, but peace of mind, that's priceless. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I truly hope this conversation not only helped you practice advanced English, but also reminded you that your well-being matters just as much as your ambitions. If today's episode encouraged you, taught you something new, or simply gave you a moment to pause and reflect, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your biggest takeaway in the comments below. What does a healthy work-life balance mean to you? Your story might inspire someone else who needs to hear it today. And if you're enjoying these advanced English podcast conversations, don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends or anyone who might need a little encouragement, and subscribe to Learn English with Ramya for more C1 and C2 English listening practice, vocabulary, pronunciation, and meaningful conversations that help you become a more confident English speaker. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. Every week, we'll continue learning English together, one conversation, one expression, and one life lesson at a time. Until next time, take care of yourself. Keep learning, keep growing, keep believing in your journey. And remember, the most successful life is not the busiest one. It's the one where you have the courage to work with passion, rest without guilt, and live with purpose.